Hello, I'm Glenn Parry. I've been leading the Agile project on the decentralization in supply chain management. Within my team, we've got Mike Brookbanks, Mike Rogerson, and Pedro Lafargue. This is some work led by Mike Brookbanks. Now, what he's found is blockchain systems help build trust in supply chains, but they're not trustless. A single trade window is where firms submit information to a single agency rather than multiple country-specific applications as part of the import-export process. Now, a blockchain-based proof-of-concept trade platform was built to emulate an end-to-end wine supply chain. It was created by Chainvine Limited via the Reducing Friction in International Trade project. This is a collaboration of government, industry, and academia. Now, it forms the nucleation of a utility trade platform that integrates HMRC and Food Standard Agency systems. Now, this single trade window creates a trust ecosystem because you've got shared data. So users enter data as goods move through the system and they are identified. It creates a common trusted data set where everybody's put the data in as identified, all the way from producer, all the intermediaries towards the final customer. Now, this meets UK government requirements. But blockchain doesn't remove the requirement for trust. Rather, it provides a trusted data set. The system doesn't disintermediate either because you've got these new platform provider intermediaries introduced. But what it is doing is creating trust, not just in the dyad between whoever's at the border and the person, the shipper, but actually between the border agency and the whole supply chain, because it provides that level of visibility. Supply chain visibility gives firms data and insight into their network. We've seen it applied in food and agriculture, where it can be found to improve socially responsibility practices, sustainability assessments, and achieving sustainability goals. But a key challenge is always linking the physical and digital world securely. Typically, we see barcodes, QR codes, RFID, or even IoT devices being used to get rich data from the product. But these are attached to products or containers, and obviously they can be swapped, or you can have adulterations or additions. For some organics, we can use DNA, and it can be chemically extracted, creating a biomarker, which is effectively a fingerprint that links to that unique organic. So in this work with Pedro Lafargue and Mike Rogerson, we developed biomarkers to allow us to have supply chain visibility in cocoa. Cocoa firms cannot know where their raw materials come from at the moment, so cannot really audit for child labour and environmental degradation that's rife in their industry, mainly because there are many hundreds of thousands of farms, and it's very difficult to know exactly where that cocoa is coming from because of the way the supply chain is set up at the moment. But what we did was develop two novel types of DNA biomarkers, one from the trees at farms and a second that grows during cocoa bean fermentation, part of the chocolate making process. Now, DNA of the cocoa plants differs from farm to farm because of their unique local micro conditions, and typically trees may remain for 25 years, so you can create a long-lasting biomarker library that's worth employing. We can test for biomarkers in final products, and this has worked well. This is Pedro's speciality. So he developed the biomarkers, tested them, and could identify beans from Ivory Coast in products that were bought in Reading, a Kit Kat and a Mars bar. Fermentation biomarkers from Ecuador were also found in highly processed derivatives, cocoa butter. And testing took 2 weeks and cost less than £5 per sample, whereas at the moment, if you want to do normal DNA testing, it's over £40 per sample. So future work in this space will be to create an immutable ledger of biomarkers, providing a database against which you can test and audit where your cocoa beans come from in your product, wherever you buy them in the world, and that will really help provide this auditability and visibility of the cocoa supply chain. So that's a brief overview of the supply chain work. Going forward, we'll be looking at tracing sustainable minerals. We'll also be looking at best practice on linking the physical to the digital world. Hopefully you'll be able to meet some of the team in the poster session later. Thank you.